Eric did not think there was hope for his situation. He was a children's pastor. He had kind of jumped from church to church for 6 or 7 years, had a real heart for kids, really wanted to make a difference, but he had these nagging mental health issues that he tried to numb the pain with prescription drugs. And on January 4th, 2019, my brother took his life. He loved to make people laugh. He loved pulling pranks on people. He just had such a wild sense of humor, and he was one of the most loving people. He would find the people that were hurting the most, find the people that were on the outside, and he would bring those people in. He wouldn't care who you were, what you looked like, or where you were from. He would go out of his way to make you feel special and seen. And I think that's one reason why he loved working with kids too, was because he could be that goofy, crazy person and people accepted it, right? Like, you're the kids' pastor. But then I just think he loved giving kids a safe place, and he loved providing that for them. And, you know, looking back, I think that had a lot to do with the fact that he just didn't feel safe at times. But yeah, he loved making people feel seen, and he loved making people laugh. I think for a while I struggled with survivor's guilt almost, because we had both, you know, been raised in the same family, same environment, same situations, same difficulties. And I think after he took his life for a little bit, I wrestled with that. Could have been me, should have that been me, you know, what could have I done differently? Why did I set up certain boundaries? Were those the best? And so one of the things I'm really grateful for is that leading up to his death and following, I had been meeting regularly with my therapist, Kevin. And it's funny, I almost knew that this was coming, and so just started asking Kevin those tough questions. What if he takes his life? What if he takes his life? And I just remember Kevin saying that would be his choice and there would be nothing more I could do. But, you know, for those of you that I know specifically this week that are going to be reading some of the resources that we put up and watching some of these videos, I would beg you and I would urge you that there are people in your corner and there are people that understand. And, you know, if you're watching this, and I'm not sure, you know, who you are, where you are, but I know enough to say that our church, Centerpoint Church, with what we've set up, if you really are in that case where you're like, there is no one, please reach out to us. We have a whole church of people that will surround you and stand with you. But I think there are times where we really feel overwhelmed and swallowed by the darkness. And sometimes, you know, if you can just think, let me just get to tomorrow. Let me just get to the next day. And then once you get to the next day, let me just try to get to the next day. Sometimes if you just take it day by day, just let me just keep living one more day. And then you start taking the steps to get healthy. I think you'll look back and see, you know, that it was worth it. And you don't know, if you take your life in this moment, if you take your life, you don't know the future you're giving up. And I think that's the hardest thing for me as I think about my brothers. He gave up his whole future. He gave up all his chances to get healthy. He gave up all this time with his family. He gave up all the ministry he could have had with these kids. He gave up all these experiences. I think for me, one of the things that I've been able to do to kind of still feel a connection to him is to try to carry out as much of his legacy as I can, you know. And that's one reason why I tell a story. The timeline of events, you know, he was, you know, he had been arrested for the drugs and had spent a day in prison, had gotten out, did a stint in rehab, which this whole time he had kept everything very quiet. and then right after rehab had ended up having to get surgery to get some cancer removed. And through that whole season, when he was in rehab getting clean, he was dreaming and talking to me about wanting to start a ministry to help people who had been addicted, to get into Celebrate Recovery, to, start telling his story. And then, once he got out of rehab and went through the surgery and was in a lot of pain, started dabbling with the meds again, and I think kind of felt overwhelmed of how he could still, help people when he was still struggling. And so I think there's a side of me wanting to share his story because that's what he wanted to do. That was his goal. That was something that I think if he really could have gotten help, he would have done. But he wasn't able to. And so I think in a way, it doesn't make his death easier, make the pain of it go away, but it gives it purpose, I guess. I think that's the thing, is like, our pain never goes away, but when you can give pain purpose, that makes it easier, I think, to process and to live with. Like, this pain has a purpose,